All right, let's take a quick moment together. Think about your average day, really think about it. You wake up, grab your phone, check your emails, maybe scroll through social media. Then you jump into the chaos meetings, deadlines, interruptions. And before you know it, it's the end of the day and you're exhausted, wondering where the time went. Sound familiar? But what if I told you there's a better way? What if I told you that you can take control of your day every day and start stacking small wins that will add up to something much bigger? The secret, it's not about working harder or faster. It's about setting the right routine and intentionally designing your day so that you're not just surviving but thriving. I know. A routine can sound like something boring or restrictive, something that takes away your freedom. But what if I told you it's the exact opposite? What if a solid routine actually gives you more freedom, more control, and more energy to show up as the best version of yourself? Imagine starting every day knowing exactly what needs to get done, feeling empowered to handle whatever life throws at you, and finishing each day with a sense of accomplishment. Today, we're going to talk about how you can win every single day by making one simple change. And it all starts with understanding the power of your routine. So, if you're ready to start living on your terms, let's dive in. Let me ask you something. How often do you get to the end of the day and wonder where the time went? You had a million things to do, but somehow the day slipped through your fingers and nothing got done. It's frustrating, right? We've all been there. The truth is, we live in a world full of distractions, so it's easy to get off course. But there's one thing that can dramatically change the way you approach your day, and in turn, set you up to win every day: routine. Now, I know what you're thinking. Routine can sound a bit boring, maybe even restrictive. You might be imagining a monotonous schedule where every minute is accounted for, and there's no room for spontaneity or creativity. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a routine that empowers you, a routine that gives you control over your day, that helps you focus on what matters most. It's not about rigidly following a set of rules, it's about building a foundation that allows you to be your most effective and focused self. Here's the deal: winning every day doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you've set yourself up to succeed. And one of the best ways to do that is by creating a routine that aligns with your values, your goals, and your priorities. Think of it like creating a map for your day. You wouldn't set out on a journey without a plan, would you? A routine is your map. It helps you navigate through the distractions and challenges, keeping you on track so that when the day is over, you can look back and say, I did what mattered. You see, when you don't have a routine, you're essentially letting the world dictate your day. You're reacting to everything that comes your way: emails, phone calls, meetings, social media notifications, and at the end of the day, you've been pulled in a million directions. Sound familiar? But when you have a routine in place, you're not just reacting, you're being intentional. You're choosing how to spend your time, what to focus on, and when to do it. That control is what makes all the difference. The beauty of a routine is that it doesn't need to be complex. In fact, the simpler, the better. It's about creating small, consistent habits that support your overall goals. Think about it like this. If you want to be in great shape, you don't need to spend hours in the gym every day. What you need is a consistent, manageable routine that includes exercise regularly, something you can commit to day in and day out. It's the same with your work, with your personal development, or with anything else you're trying to achieve. The key is consistency. One of the reasons why routine is so powerful is that it builds momentum. Have you ever noticed how good it feels to cross something off your to-do list? That sense of accomplishment gives you energy to keep going. A routine gives you that momentum. By establishing a regular rhythm for your day, you start to build small successes that snowball into bigger achievements. You wake up, you take action, and before you know it, you've gained a sense of progress and momentum that keeps you moving forward. But here's the thing, routines are also flexible. I'm not talking about setting yourself up for failure by committing to a schedule that is impossible to stick to. Life is unpredictable, things change. There will always be disruptions, unexpected challenges, and days when nothing goes as planned. That's okay. The point of a routine isn't to lock you into something rigid. It's to give you the structure you need to stay on track, even when things go sideways. A good routine leaves space for the unexpected. It's adaptable. For example, if you've set aside time every morning for focused work, but one day a meeting runs long or you get an urgent request, you can adjust. Your routine becomes a framework, not a cage. If you miss something or have to shift things around, you simply adjust the next day. The consistency comes in the effort to show up every day, not in the perfection of executing everything on time. And here's another thing that makes routine so powerful: it frees up mental space. Have you ever felt like your mind is constantly racing, constantly trying to remember the next thing you need to do or the next deadline? It's exhausting, isn't it? A routine takes the guesswork out of your day. Once you've established a routine, a lot of the decisions you used to waste mental energy on are already made. You know when you're going to work, when you're going to exercise, when you'll take breaks, and when you'll rest. Your mind can relax because it doesn't need to overthink the structure of your day. It's already mapped out for you. Now, it's important to remember that a routine isn't about squeezing more and more into your day. It's about making sure the right things get done. It's about prioritizing. I think we've all fallen into the trap of overloading ourselves with tasks, thinking that if we just do more, we'll get ahead. But that often leads to burnout and frustration. A good routine is about being intentional with your time and energy. It's about saying no to the things that don't serve your bigger goals and saying yes to the things that matter most. For example, maybe your goal is to be more productive at work. But if you're spending hours scrolling through social media or getting sidetracked by unimportant emails, your routine needs to account for that. You need to create space for deep work, time to focus without distractions. A strong routine ensures that the important stuff gets the attention it deserves, while the distractions get pushed to the edges of your day or eliminated entirely. Creating a routine that works for you starts with understanding what your priorities are. What's important to you? What do you need to accomplish to feel like you've had a successful day? What's going to move you closer to your bigger goals? Once you have clarity on that, you can begin to build your routine around those priorities. And here's the key: keep it simple and keep it consistent. The more consistent you are with your routine, the more you can rely on it to bring structure and order to your day. So, ask yourself, what can you do tomorrow to establish a routine that supports the life you want to lead? Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier to meditate or exercise. Maybe it's blocking out time to focus on your most important tasks without interruption. Whatever it is, start small and make it a habit. Because when you create a routine that works for you, you take control of your day, your time, and your success. When you make routine a priority, you're not just filling your day with more tasks. You're intentionally designing a life that aligns with your values, your goals, and your vision, and that is how you win every day. I want you to think for a moment about the way you approach your day. How often do you put yourself last? How often do you pour all of your energy into your work, into helping others, into meeting deadlines, and at the end of the day, feel completely drained? So much of our lives are spent juggling responsibilities, and it's easy to forget about one of the most important aspects of winning every day: taking care of you. Self-care isn't just a trendy buzzword. It's a necessity, and I don't mean just the bubble baths, the massages, or taking a vacation, though those things can certainly help. True self-care goes much deeper than that. It's about nourishing your mind, your body, and your spirit. It's about giving yourself the space to breathe, to reset, and to make sure you're operating at your best, not just for your own sake, but for the sake of everyone around you. The truth is, we can't give what we don't have. Think about it. If your energy is depleted, if your mind is overwhelmed, if your body is run down, how can you possibly show up as the best version of yourself? How can you give your best at work, in your relationships, or in your personal pursuits if you're not taking the time to fill your own cup first? It's like trying to pour from an empty glass. It just doesn't work. Self-care is about recognizing that you are just as important as everything else on your to-do list. It's about creating space in your day, not just for others, but for yourself. And this isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. When you take care of yourself, you're not only improving your own well-being, but you're also setting a foundation that allows you to show up for others more effectively. I'll be honest with you, this is something I've had to learn the hard way. I used to think that success came from grinding, from constantly pushing myself, from always being on the go. I didn't prioritize self-care, thinking it was something I could do later, something I'd get to, once I accomplished everything on my plate. But the more I neglected my own needs, the more I found myself running on empty. I'd hit the end of each day exhausted, burned out, and disconnected from the things that actually mattered. It wasn't until I took a step back and recognized how unsustainable that approach was that I realized I needed to make a change. Self-care is a journey, not a destination. It's about small, consistent actions that prioritize your health and well-being every single day. It starts with the basics: sleep, nutrition, and exercise. Without these, it's nearly impossible to show up at your best. We all know that feeling of running on fumes after a few days of bad sleep or poor eating habits. It's almost like you're in a fog, disconnected from your own thoughts and energy. When you make a conscious effort to prioritize these basic needs, it's like putting gas in your car. You've got more fuel to work with, more energy to put toward the things that matter. But self-care isn't just physical, it's mental and emotional too. Taking care of your mind is just as important as taking care of your body. This might look like taking a few moments in the morning for meditation or reflection, journaling to process your thoughts, or simply giving yourself permission to unplug from the noise of the world. In today's hyper-connected, always on world, we often forget that our minds need rest just as much as our bodies. The constant stream of information, notifications, and demands can easily leave us feeling overwhelmed. So, part of self-care is about setting boundaries around your time, your energy, and your focus. Saying no when you need to, protecting your space, and giving yourself permission to take a step back are all essential parts of caring for your mental health. Let's not forget emotional self-care either. We're all carrying around emotional baggage, past hurts, fears, insecurities. And if we don't take time to address those emotions, they can start to weigh us down and affect how we show up in the world. Emotional self-care is about taking the time to process those emotions in healthy ways, whether it's through conversations with loved ones, therapy, or just sitting quietly with your own feelings. It's about not allowing yourself to be defined by your emotions, but acknowledging them, learning from them, and then moving forward. When we neglect our emotional health, we allow those emotions to dictate our actions, often in ways we don't even realize. Taking the time to care for your emotional well-being isn't selfish. It's essential for creating a healthy, balanced life. Self-care also involves setting realistic expectations. We can't do it all, and that's okay. The pressure to constantly perform at our highest levels can lead to burnout, frustration, and feelings of inadequacy. But when you embrace self-care, you also embrace the idea that it's okay to slow down, to give yourself grace, and to let go of perfection. This doesn't mean lowering your standards. It means being kind to yourself when things don't go as planned, and acknowledging that some days simply showing up is enough. In fact, some of the most important moments of self-care happen when we give ourselves permission to rest, to pause, and to recharge. It's in these moments of stillness that we actually make space for our minds and bodies to heal, to reflect, and to renew our energy for the challenges ahead. Self-care is not about being indulgent or lazy. It's about creating a sustainable, healthy rhythm for your life. When you start to care for yourself in this holistic way, something incredible happens. You begin to show up in every area of your life with more energy, more clarity, and more compassion. You become more present, more engaged, and more capable of handling the demands that life throws at you. And here's the most powerful thing about self-care. It's not just about taking time for yourself. It's about making sure you're at your best so that you can be fully present for others. When you're centered, when you're in a place of balance, you're not just surviving your day, you're thriving. And that is how you win every day, by putting yourself first, not out of selfishness, but out of a deep understanding that you are the foundation upon which everything else rests. So take care of yourself, because when you do, you're not just winning for yourself, you're winning for everyone around you. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you truly took a moment to appreciate what you have, rather than worrying about what you don't? Think about it for a second. In today's world, we're constantly moving forward, chasing the next big thing, focused on what's lacking or what we need to accomplish next. But here's the thing: if we don't stop and acknowledge what we've already got, we're missing one of the most powerful ways to start our day and set ourselves up for success. It all starts with gratitude. Gratitude isn't just a feel-good emotion. It's a powerful practice that can transform how you show up each day. When you start your day with gratitude, you create a foundation of positivity that will carry you through everything that comes your way. I'm not talking about just thinking, "I'm thankful for my family," or "I'm thankful for my job." Those are great, but gratitude is more than just acknowledging the big, obvious things. It's about intentionally looking for the small moments, the hidden blessings that you might otherwise overlook. Gratitude works like this. When you choose to focus on what you're grateful for, you shift your mindset. You move from a mindset of scarcity, where you focus on what's missing, to a mindset of abundance, where you start to see how much you truly have. And here's what's powerful about that shift. When you see what you have, you begin to appreciate it, and appreciation creates motivation. Suddenly, the small things that once seemed insignificant, your health, the people in your life, the opportunities in front of you, become sources of power, not things you take for granted. Now, you might be wondering, but doesn't life get hard? Don't we face challenges and setbacks? Of course we do. No one is immune to the ups and downs of life. But that's exactly why gratitude is so essential. It's not just about being thankful when things are going well, it's about finding gratitude in the midst of challenges. When you can find something to be grateful for, even in the hardest of moments, it changes your whole perspective. It doesn't mean you're ignoring the tough stuff. It means you're choosing to focus on what still works, what's still going right, what you can still control. That's the mindset that allows you to rise above challenges rather than being crushed by them. I'll give you an example. I was once in a really tough spot. Life wasn't going the way I expected, and every day felt like a struggle. But one morning, I made the decision to write down 3 things I was grateful for before I got out of bed. At first, it felt forced, like I was just going through the motions, but the more I practiced, the more I started to feel a shift. I began to realize that even in the hardest times, I still had so much to be thankful for. I had my health, I had people who supported me, and I had the opportunity to keep moving forward. That simple practice of starting my day with gratitude turned the rest of my day around. It didn't make everything perfect, but it gave me a sense of peace and focus that helped me move through the challenges with a clearer mind and a more positive attitude. Gratitude is also contagious. When you start your day with a grateful heart, you set the tone for the day. People around you will pick up on that energy, and it starts to affect your interactions. Imagine walking into a room with a smile, with an energy of appreciation and positivity. It's like you're bringing light into a space that might otherwise feel heavy. That's the power of gratitude. It's not just a personal practice, it's a ripple effect that influences everyone you come into contact with. So how do we make this a habit? It's all about starting small. Don't wait for big moments to be grateful for. Start with the little things. Maybe it's the cup of coffee you enjoy in the morning, or the way the sun feels on your face as you walk outside. Maybe it's a friend who checks in on you, or a moment of quiet time where you get to reflect. These are the things that build up your gratitude muscle over time. One simple exercise that can help you cultivate gratitude every morning is to take just a few minutes when you first wake up to reflect on 3 things you're thankful for. They don't have to be monumental. In fact, the more ordinary they are, the more powerful they become. It's not about the grand gestures, it's about consistently choosing to appreciate the present moment. And here's something important to remember. Gratitude isn't just a passive feeling, it's an active choice. It's easy to slip into a negative mindset when things aren't going the way we want. But gratitude requires us to actively choose to see the good, to see what's going well, even when life feels hard. That's the difference between merely reacting to life and actively creating a life filled with positivity and purpose. As you build this habit of gratitude, you'll notice something incredible happening. You'll start to feel more grounded, more centered, and more at peace with where you are, no matter what's going on around you. The challenges won't disappear, but your ability to handle them, to move through them, will grow stronger. Gratitude doesn't just make your day better, it makes you better. It helps you respond to life from a place of strength, not from a place of scarcity. You'll also start to notice the small victories, the little wins, the things that often go unnoticed. Gratitude opens your eyes to what's already good in your life, and when you begin to see those things, you can use them as fuel to keep going. When you win in the small moments, the big wins start to come more naturally. And that's how gratitude helps you win every day. It's not about waiting for things to be perfect, or for life to hand you everything you want. It's about appreciating what you have right now. It's about making the choice to focus on what's working rather than what's not. It's about training your brain to see the good, to see the opportunities, and to see the progress, no matter how small. Because the truth is, every day is an opportunity to win, and it all begins with gratitude. If you want to win every day, the very first step is to set clear, achievable goals. Sounds simple, right? But let me tell you something, this is where most people falter. They have a vague sense of what they want to do, but they don't have a clear, defined target. And without a target, how can you possibly hit the mark? It's like setting off on a journey without knowing your destination. You'll wander around in circles, wasting time and energy, and at the end of the day, you'll wonder why you didn't make any real progress. The thing is, our brains need clarity. They thrive on knowing exactly what's ahead, and more importantly, they need to know why we're doing something. That's the power of goals. Goals give your mind something to focus on, something to rally behind. And more than just the what, goals give you a reason, a purpose, a deeper meaning for your actions. Think about it for a moment. When you have a clear goal, you're more likely to get up with intention in the morning. You're more likely to show up for your work, for your family, for your commitments. It's the difference between drifting and deliberately moving forward. But here's the catch. It's not enough to simply have a goal. The key is to make that goal achievable, to break it down into actionable steps that you can actually control and that you can realistically work toward each day. I've seen this firsthand. People often set these massive, audacious goals that sound incredible at first, but are so big that they become overwhelming. They look at the mountain and think, how am I ever going to get to the top? But if you break that mountain down into smaller, manageable steps, you'll be amazed at how much progress you can make. It's about having a clear, focused direction, but also making sure that direction is within reach day by day. You can't climb Everest in one step, but you can certainly make a lot of progress on the path by breaking it down. And let's not forget that achieving a goal isn't just about crossing things off a to-do list. It's about building momentum. Once you set a goal, even the smallest achievement can spark that momentum, that feeling of accomplishment. It's like stacking small wins one after another until they build into something big. Every little step is a victory, and with each victory you build confidence. For example, think about a fitness goal. Let's say you want to get in shape. Rather than setting the goal to get fit or lose weight, focus on something specific and actionable. I will exercise for 30 minutes, 5 times a week. That's a clear goal, and it's achievable. It's not overwhelming because you're not telling yourself you need to run a marathon tomorrow. You're starting with a manageable, realistic step. And every time you hit that 30-minute workout, you've won. That small victory gives you a sense of accomplishment, and before you know it, those little wins have added up into significant change. Setting goals that are achievable is about finding that balance between ambition and realism. You want to challenge yourself, but you also want to set yourself up for success. Think about it like this. The more specific and realistic your goals are, the more likely you are to stay motivated and committed. Because here's the truth, motivation doesn't just show up when you need it most, it comes from progress, and progress is built one achievable step at a time. So, how do you set these clear and achievable goals? Start by asking yourself some simple questions. What do you want to achieve today? What is the next small step you can take towards something bigger? What does success look like right now, in this moment, for this goal? Break it down into bite-sized pieces and focus on one thing at a time. Once you've broken your goal down into achievable steps, you can get to work. But don't just focus on the outcome. The process is just as important as the result. Every action you take, every step you move forward, brings you closer to your goal, and more importantly, it brings you closer to becoming the person who can achieve that goal. Let's take a moment to think about the word intentionality. This is where a lot of people get lost. They say, I want to be successful, or I want to build something great. But it's not enough to just say you want something, you need to intentionally pursue it. And that comes from setting those clear, actionable goals. When your day is structured around tasks that move you toward your goal, you don't need to wait for motivation to strike. You just get to work because you've already mapped out the steps. This intentional pursuit, day in and day out, is how you win every day. It's not just about waiting for the perfect moment or a wave of inspiration. It's about showing up, setting the goal, and then following through with small, intentional actions. And there's one more crucial aspect of goal setting that I can't overlook: review. You've set your goals, you've broken them down, and you've taken action. But have you taken the time to review your progress? Have you reflected on what worked, what didn't, and what needs adjusting? It's important to periodically check in with yourself and your goals. Ask yourself, am I on track? Is this still aligned with what I truly want? And don't be afraid to recalibrate along the way. Sometimes goals evolve or life changes, and it's okay to adjust your course. But the key is to always keep moving forward with purpose. At the end of the day, the ability to win every day starts with clarity. It starts with knowing what you want, understanding why it matters, and breaking it down into clear, achievable goals. You don't need to conquer everything all at once. You just need to take that first step, and then the next and the next. With each win, you build confidence, you build momentum, and most importantly, you build the life you want. Because when you know exactly what you're aiming for and take consistent, focused action toward it, there's nothing that can stop you from winning every single day.